All right, well, good morning, everybody. It's Tuesday, the 30th, I think. If it's not, just call it the 30th, and it'll all work out. It doesn't really matter. It's spray foam day is what it is, and I'm up early. It's the birds still telling on me. They're saying, good morning, get up. It's 7 a.m., got my coffee. This is normal time for me. It's just I normally don't make videos of this early in the morning. It's here. Spray foam guys should be here in the next 30 minutes. He said he'd be here by 8. So we're ready. I'll give you a quick walk around. So I had a lot of people ask me why I decided to do spray foam. And there's a lot of reasons for, and you know, pros and cons of it. There's talk about condensation building up behind it and causing your metal to rust out. It's a fear, but is it valid? I don't know. I'm sure it's happened somewhere. I'm sure that condensation is built up behind fiberglass installation, behind styrofoam sheets. I think that's something that's a risk you run, either how something is installed or the climate in which you live. Probably has as much bearing on something like that as anything else. So here's the reasons why I chose spray foam. Spray foam is about 30% more than buying sheets of styrofoam. Now, what do you get for that 30%? Well, I don't have to install it. So I'll get it done in one day. And I don't necessarily, you know, it's not gonna take a month for me to drag it out. I don't have to cut it. I don't have to tape it. I don't have to buy cans of spray foam to fill in the gaps. So 30% is not that much more over the cost of the project. To have someone else do it, a professional, and you're getting professional grade materials. You're not getting, you know, big box store materials. Sometimes there is a difference. The reason I chose it is because a metal building inherently has a lot of gaps. When the wind blows, different places of the building, you're gonna have little gaps. And that's gonna let bugs in, and it's gonna let the wind and the cold and the heat in. Spray foam seals those gaps. It adds a rigidity to the building. It technically makes your building stronger because now you have solid walls. Even though it's foam, it's still very rigid and solid. But being able to seal every little nook and cranny that styrofoam would never get to. Now, I know some guys go behind on their styrofoam with the little cans of great stuff, little spray foam, and they'll fill in the gaps. And that's all well and good, but that stuff's $9 a can. And it's not cheap, and that's gonna add up really, really fast. And I still don't think you're gonna be able to get around the corners and behind everywhere with it like the traditional spray foam. The other fear is these buildings, they tend to creak and make noise on their own, which means they're moving. And I could only imagine that a sheet of styrofoam wedged in between two metal trusses, when those trusses or studs move around, that styrofoam's gonna squeak. And we all know what styrofoam rubbing on metal sounds like, that high-pitched squeal sound. I couldn't imagine lining this whole thing with styrofoam sheets, tape foil it, spray foam it, put OSB over the top of it, and then every time I come out here, all I can hear is squeaking. And you wouldn't know that until you're done. And so those were the two big reasons. The efficiency of spray foam sealing all of the cracks and the crevices and all the gaps. Not having to do it. Not that much more money than putting styrofoam up yourself. Having it done instantly, basically in one day being done with the project. And then running the risk of styrofoam rubbing and squeaking for the rest of my days in this building. It's a lot of reasons, and I really put pen to paper on that. I don't hire things out. Y'all know I'm a DIY guy. I want to do it myself. I don't mind if it takes longer normally, but in this instance, I think it was smart money. To me, a shop is always evolving. Over the course of the last 30 years, I've had a lot of different hobbies, and I've always had a shop. I've always made a priority to have a space to keep tools and to do work. And that's always doubled as lawnmowers and ladders and, you know, those big bulky items. It kept them out of the house. It kept the house garage for the wife. The wife has the house garage. But this hobby with three-wheelers and YouTube has been a big change for me. It's a lot more public than I've ever been before. Normally my hobbies are very quite isolated, but bringing you along with this has been a whole new experience, and I've really enjoyed it. We're going on 2.5 years. If you look in the bottom right hand corner of your screen, you're going to see we are about to hit 10,000 subscribers. I really had no idea I would ever get that close. That was my goal. If you look in my logo, it's the road to 10,000. I really thought that might be a goal that take a long time to get to, but we're almost there. And thank you each and every one of you that's subscribed to that. It doesn't cost anything. If you haven't subscribed, I appreciate it if you would. So today, spray foam, I just kind of wanted to give you kind of some reasons why I chose what I chose. Now, it might not work in your area. Maybe you're more of a bat insulation area. Maybe you want to use the styrofoam sheets for your own reasons. But these are my reasons, and I think they're pretty valid, and I think they could give you some food for thought. Put pen to paper, run the numbers, see what it is. Spray foam is not cheap, but it's not that much more, and when you consider someone else is doing it. Now, it's taken me a month to get this building completely empty and pressure washed down. Some of that is because of my work schedule. Some of that is because I got sick. Some of that is because I had a vacation with my family, and it just takes time. Now, if I could have paid somebody to do this, they'd have done it in a day or two, and we'd have been done. All right, guys. Well, this is a great way to look for gaps and leaks. Just kind of wanted to give you an idea how dark it was in here, and a couple other things. It's so there's no lights in the shop. We have spray foamed it, but now if I turn the camera around, you'll see the big gap above the door. Now they spray foamed behind the door, but that's about 1.5 inch, 2 inch gap above that roll-up door. I know it's funny you're looking at a dark screen, but this is a great way to look for gaps and leaks and so forth. This gap here, this is running across the floor. This is our 12-foot sliding door or barn door. So we need to put a sweep there for sure. But wow, what a difference spray foam has made. So let me put some light on the subject. And if you may want to get some glasses. There, how's that? That is a lot of light. Now, nothing's changed in the room. All the doors are still closed. This is still just the light in the room. Our 12-foot door is still closed, our barn door, and our 10x10 roll-up is down. That's how bright it is in the shop now. It's crazy. Okay, you don't need glasses, but it's bright. So what I did is a couple of different things. I'm going to put some products in the description below. If you're looking for any of these, that'll help you out a little bit. So what we did here is we did daisy chain 4-foot LEDs. Now there's a lot of guys out there that are running those screw in. It's got the little butterfly wings that kind of come out, LED lights. These are 4-foot because they fit my space very easily to attach to the trusses. They daisy chain together, meaning that you can chain one into the next, up to 4 lights you can do that. This was a 10-pack, less than $100. These are 9 of them. I still have one left over. And so I tied into 3 of the trusses that are evenly spaced in the shop. And then I did about 3 months ago, in preparation for this project, I found a marketplace deal where a guy had built his shop and he had a lot of commercial grade parts and pieces left over. I swooped in, I picked it up for like $150, I think, for the whole load. Now, conduit is $10 a stick. I got over 20 sticks just starting off. I got panel boxes, I got MC cable, we got 2-inch conduit. I mean, there was just a ton of stuff. For $150, I couldn't go wrong with it. So I picked it up, and you're gonna see that I'm using that now in this space. There's no way I would have probably chose these high-end options or a commercial grade option, though I like them just because of, you know, from a budget standpoint. But if you look close, you'll see what I did here is I ran the conduit all the way down one side, the center of the building actually, and then I put a junction box at each truss. And I did that so I could tie in the lights. Now these lights have their own switch. And so the beauty of that in this situation for filming, I can come in and I can turn a couple of these off independent of one another. You don't have to run all 9 at the same time. You just literally flip a switch, half of them go on and off. So they're actually, they're wired in a way that they're independent of one another. So that's pretty handy if I want to kill, if I want to bring the light down for maybe filming or something like that. Or maybe just from a security purpose, you know, if you want to just leave one row on and turn the other 2 off, but you want to let those run all the time, that's an option as well. So really pleased with how that part has come out. Now, as you see, the OSB has started going up, and this is 19 sheets of OSB. It's a lot of work. I did all 19 sheets yesterday. It was a full day. We ran up 8 foot. I've got to get some more. I actually bought 20 sheets. You'll see there's one extra one there to go up to the roof. That's as high as I want to go. I may fudge it a little bit. I may not go all the way to the roof, but at least another 2 feet all the way around just to kind of finish it off. I think it'll look a little nicer that way. As for the acoustics, it's great in here. I don't think there's going to be any microphone problems. I think you should be able to hear me very well. We'll know in the editing of this, but I think you'll notice a difference from the beginning of the video to the end of the video, how much better the audio is now in this video. Now, a couple things. In the title there, I said there were some mistakes. There were some mistakes in the way that I did some things. Looking back on it now, hindsight's 20/20. I'll be the first to admit, I'm not going to get it right every time, the first time. Sometimes it's going to take me a little while. So the dead wood did not all fall like it was supposed to. I am not a carpenter. Y'all know I'm not a mechanic either. This is just for fun. So I kind of learn as I go. It's a DIY, approach to things. I'm not scared to try anything. So I'm willing to learn, and I'm willing to make mistakes, and I'm willing to admit it to you. Anybody that says they don't make any mistakes, well, you know what they say about those people. So things I would do different. Here's what I would do different. I would not have taken the week to put dead wood in here. I would have probably just ran horizontal dead wood, no verticals, and I would have just wasted the plywood on the 5 foot or so studs here. The dead wood, though handy, it's slowed me down. That would have been 2 weeks. None of those brackets you saw me make in the earlier videos. It just would have been a whole lot faster. I did not know that plywood apparently is a hot commodity. Have you ever noticed when you want to buy something, that's when those prices for those things go up? Right now I'm on a hunt for a toolbox. And apparently toolboxes are made out of gold now. But anyways, OSB, when I started this project, was about $12 a sheet. Now it's $23 a sheet. So it's almost doubled. It's crazy. Now I watched it, and I kind of talked to my local hardware guy, and he was like, look, let's get it this day. It'll be a little cheaper. And so apparently here in Florida, OSB is the material to cover your windows for hurricane season, and we are about to be in hurricane season. And so your stores are buying up all the OSB, and they're stacking it, and they're sitting on it waiting to sell it. That's what happened to me. I got caught in that ramp up to hurricane season. I did not realize that. I'm not a hardware guy. Didn't know. So I would have bought my OSB at the beginning of the project when it was cheaper. I would have not put as much dead wood in, and I would have been able to just throw it up and waste it. Hate to say that, but you could use it for shelves or other things. So of the 19 sheets, I figure I wasted probably 3 with all of my drops. If you took all the drops and added them up, I probably wasted 3 sheets. Are they wasted? Nah, we'll use them for something. I'm not going to throw them on the burn pile. We'll make a shelf out of them, or filler space, or something. So, am I pleased? Yeah, I really am pleased. Would I do it again? Definitely. I would have done it at 25 instead of 50. That would have been a big deal. So coming up, what's next? Next is going to be, we're going to put some more OSB up, and we're going to put a mini split right above my sign here. Check that out. My wife and daughter picked that out for me. I've been sitting on that since Christmas, and I just didn't want to bring it out into the messy shop. I just didn't think it warranted that. So, that's to my family. They gave that to me, and so I'm pretty proud of it. It may not stay there, but it's there for today. The mini split's going to go right above that. This would be the area that I work in. We've talked about this probably once before because I talk too much. But we've got enough space here that we can put 2 machines while we're working, and then we can still have the shelf over here with parts and the rest of the collection. And that's my goal today. I'm not going to bore you with me bringing them back and using the tractor and putting them up there. That's how we do it. That's how I do it. Other things I would change. I spent more time putting OSB in and around this counter than I should have. I wasted probably 2 hours yesterday fumbling with that. It would have been quicker if I would have. This counter is welded into the frame of the building. It's very solid, it's very strong. That's why I left it. But in hindsight, I probably could have cut it loose from the building, ran full sheets of OSB, and then bracketed the counter back to the wall to the studs. Hindsight's 20/20, things you don't think of. Once it was spray foamed around the framework of that counter, this kind of leads me to the other big concern, and this is just something that I'll put out there. The biggest advantage to a metal building, bar none, is flammability. You can weld and grind and cut and sparks pretty much willy-nilly. You don't necessarily have to worry that much about a spark landing over in a corner because everything in that corner is metal. You know, metal walls, metal brackets, concrete floor, nothing's going to burn. I have given all of that up for comfort. And so that's something that I'm going to have to make an adjustment to. And if you are a metal fabrication shop or wanting to be a metal fabrication shop, be mindful that OSB and spray foam is flammable. OSB, a spark's going to bounce off of that, but you do need to be careful. You got to be mindful of that. Other things I did that I liked that worked out pretty good is the OSB is all hung, but it's a 1/2 inch off the floor. And the reason is off the floor. If I ever get a leak in here, if I spill something, if we get a flood, which I'm on a high plane here, I'm probably not going to flood. If it floods here, y'all better be looking for Noah, because I'm like for Florida, we're at the top. So flooding is really not a concern per se, but if we get a big spill, if I drop something or something like that, I don't necessarily have to worry about liquids soaking into the OSB, or for that matter, soaking into the OSB and then trying to get into the spray foam. Speaking of spray foam, open cell 5.5 inches. In the beginning of the video, you saw the gentleman spray foam, and he's using a depth gauge, and that's how he measured that 5.5 inches. We have 5.5 inches of open cell foam on the ceiling and 2.5 inches of closed cell on the wall. Now, the biggest differences I see in them is the open cell is a little softer. The R factor of it is less, therefore they use more of it. It's an economics thing. The walls are solid. You can go knock on these walls and they are solid. Another thing about the dead wood, a lot of people will put stringers on their metal studs, and that would have probably been a good idea too. It is a good idea, but you would have lost 6 inches of your shop, 3 inches on all 4 walls. So you would have lost 6 inches in both directions. I know it's not a lot, but it's your 6 inches. Do you want to give it up? I didn't, so I spent the time putting the dead wood in. Had you put stringers on, you would have got a full 2.5 inches of spray foam, where everywhere you see a 2x4 behind me, there is no spray foam. So it's getting warm in here, so I'm going to open this door and we'll finish up this video. So this is our 12-foot door. It's gotten pretty heavy, I'm not going to lie to you. We're going to put a wheel on it. I think one wheel in the middle. It's not crazy heavy. One person can move it one-handed. But yeah, it's probably 200 pounds. You know, by the time you take the framework and this foam and the sheathing, there's OSB on the other side of the door. It's 200 pounds probably, and it's just big. Acts like a sail when the wind comes through the shop from the other side. Remember, this is just the back side of the original structure, and that's where all the stuff is. But moving forward, this is going to be what you see for the most part. This is what the shop is going to look like. We're going to finish the OSB. We're going to hang a mini split here in about 2 weeks, and we're going to be right at the cusp of summer. So I pretty much decided on either a 24 or 30,000 BTU unit. I'm going to put a sweep over the big drum door, and I'm going to put a sweep. And what I mean by sweeps, they make these little kits that will go over the door, and they're little fingers like a broom, and that keeps mosquitoes and bugs out. That's great. And it also keeps air conditioning in. Just from a standpoint of when the wind blows, it's not going to blow in a big blast of hot air to fight your air conditioning. It's going to deflect the wind. Those two things, and I think we're going to be pretty much airtight in here. The acoustics, the light, the way it feels in here now. I don't feel like I'm in a tin can anymore. I feel like I'm in a building. And I know that's weird, and I really can't convey that to you on video, but when you feel good, you're gonna work good. Whatever you're doing, you're gonna enjoy it. So I appreciate y'all coming along with this. If you look down in the corner of your screen, I'll update this from the earlier part of the video. I think we'll hit 10,000 this weekend. We're gonna do something special about that. I don't know what we're gonna do, but I'm pretty excited about it. Who would have thought? An old guy with some old three-wheelers hit 10,000. Thank you, each and every one of you that subscribed. If you haven't subscribed, please hit the subscribe button. It's free, it doesn't cost you anything. Up next for me, as part of that big marketplace score of electric conduit and so forth, there was also a lot of boxes, a lot of receptacle boxes. They're double gang boxes. Perfect. I mean, exactly what I wanted. I couldn't plan for it, and I think it came with about 15 or so double gang boxes. So I'm going to start putting those in. We're going to daisy chain them across the back of the shop. I'm probably going to raise them up a little bit, about 4 feet, just to give me a little bit more counter space. When I first did the shop, I had the outlets right at the height of the counter. And the problem was that is every time I put something on the counter, I'd block the outlet. So I don't want to do that again. So what we're going to do is we're going to probably raise the outlets up. Bottom of the outlet are going to be at 4 feet. We're going to power them probably on 2 different circuits, alternating every other outlet. So you could use 2 pieces of equipment relatively close to one another without being on the same circuit. So if I've got one machine running and it's doing a job and I'm trying to do something else, every other outlet. That worked in my last version of the shop. I don't know that I really ever tripped a breaker with that system. So pretty simple. Every other outlet is on an alternating circuit. I haven't showed you the electrical side of things. A lot of people, there's some really good videos out there that do electric far better than I. But I'm just telling you what I did so you can kind of plan ahead. This whole build was to repurpose what I had, work on a budget, and not build a new building. A new building right out of the gate, you're probably looking at $15,000, concrete, the building, the permit, trenching electric to it, all of the infrastructure things, 15 grand. I think I could repurpose this space for 5, maybe 6, and it's still the same things that would have to be done to a new building. I still would have spray foamed, I still would have put OSB up, I still would have run a new electricity, I still would have bought new lights. So that would even be a wash. This is all about taking your time. It's all about doing it on a budget and you know, making better choices. It's all about taking what we learned in the old shop, what worked and what didn't work, and applying it to the new shop. And that's kind of what we're doing here. The big barn door was a lot of work. It took me a lot of time, but for the way I use my building, I need to be able to access it from both sides with vehicles. I'm excited about once I get the power in, start moving cabinets and toolboxes and start getting my space back. I have not had my space for a month now, and it's wearing on me. It really is. I don't know where anything is. It's been a challenge to do work because the first part of the job was finding the tool I needed. I had to dig out my floor jack because it was buried in the back corner of the shop. I'm not going to show you how bad the front of the shop looks, but it is a mess. So that's it. I think we've covered all the bases. We covered the deadwood. We covered why the OSB is a 1/2 inch off the floor. This building is not square. And so when you bring in square sheets of OSB, plan on for a little gapping and a lot of trimming. And so it took me a full day to hang 19 sheets of OSB, but I'm pleased with it. It looks really good. I'm gonna go get the A-team and bring them in, put them back on their home here on the shelf,